fire down in my soul that I can't contain, that I can't control. I want more of you, God. I want more of you, God.
Fabulous Friday, Pathways fam. I'm excited to bring to you another worship breakdown this Friday. We're going to be focusing on the song Set Afire, a song for me in my spiritual journey that has allowed me to have some true and honest worship with God. Take away all my cares and anxieties and to just focus on Him and putting a fire in my heart and truly reflect on the love that He has for me. So let's worship together.
Set a fire down in my soul that I can't contain, that I can't control. I want more of you, God. I want more of you, God. No place I would rather be. No place I would rather be. No place I would rather be than hearing your love, hearing your love.
Man, what a glorious song Set Afire is. Each week I feel like we keep getting simpler and simpler in the type of song that we're breaking down, but more meaningful in the way that it's teaching us how to worship God in a full sense. Set Afire, if you're a new musician or a new singer, is the perfect song to learn. It's 3 chords and it's 2 verses, so it's super simple. Let's break this down. Set Afire. There's really 2 things it's focusing on in this song, one meaning for each verse. It's asking God to set a fire in our hearts, and it's reflecting on the love that God shows us as we worship in a place.
Set a fire down in my soul that I can't contain, that I can't control. I want more of you, God. I want more of you, God.
So let's start with that first one. God setting a fire in our hearts. Well, what does that mean? We obviously don't want to spontaneously combust in church. We don't want fire to envelop our whole body. And fire to me in this setting really has 2 meanings. One, I look at it as the perspective of a blacksmith, someone who uses fire in their craft, right? Fire can be used to take an oddly shaped metal or something that has nothing to it and build it and grow it into a tool. It refines, it shapes, it cleans, it perfects metal and makes it into something with a purpose. Just like if you allow God to put a fire in your heart, He will refine, shape, and make you into a tool used for a purpose, right? So we come to God in worship, asking Him to use us, to set a fire in our hearts, to make us more like Him. I think we think of fire as this destructive thing, something that once is lit, can't be controlled and destroys all the land. But if you look at it from a different perspective, once the fire has done its job, right, has come inside you and refined you and shaped you, just like fire scorching the earth. It looks black and it looks like it's gone through hardships, and it's hard to look at sometimes. It's sad for me to see land that's just covered in black ash. But from that comes the most beautiful of plants, the most glorious of flowers. When fire takes out an area, later what comes in is way more beautiful than what was there before. There was a fire up by my in-laws' house. For a long time we'd hike through there and it would be really sad. It was such a small fire, so it didn't affect anyone. But all the plants were gone, and now you walk it a couple years later and it's glorious. There's flowers blooming, there's giant bushes, and it's bigger and more beautiful than ever. And that's like Jesus working in us. We talked about in James this week in our small groups about perseverance. The idea that through trials, if we persevere, God uses that to mature and complete us, lacking nothing. Just like if a fire comes in our life and refines our heart, through perseverance we'll become something beautiful. The second way I look at fire is through passion. Fire is this roaring thing that we've talked about can't be contained. A fire that is full of passion and love, right? So if we look at that in terms of Christ, we're asking Him to set a fire in our hearts for Him. A fire that will not go out, a fire that rages beyond belief with love and passion for God. So both those meanings are amazing. And if you really reflect and take a moment to sing those words with truth, that we want God to redeem us and shape us into something new, and we want our love to be overwhelming and like a roaring fire for passion for God and show it in our lives, man, what a worship for God that is. God, absolutely change us and allow us to live a life that looks like we're passionate for you. So that's that first verse, and I sing that as loud as I can, that God just ignites my life, that God makes a difference in my life, that God hits the flint and makes a spark and allows my life to just roar for him.
There's no place I would rather be, no place I would rather be, no place I would rather be than here in your love, here in your love. There's no place I would rather be, no place I would rather be, no place I would rather be than here in your love, here in your love.
In that second verse, where there's no place we'd rather be than here in God's love. And how true that can be to reflect when we're worshiping God. Worshiping God is not all about asking for change. It's not all about seeking refinement in our lives. A lot of times songs can be about the bad things that we're having and trying to give them to God, trying to surrender to him. But I think this second verse really pinpoints on the idea that we worship God and thank him for the love that he gives us. It talks about that there's no place I'd rather be than worshiping you, God, that in your presence. Singing this now is really powerful. If we sing it all together, if we do it in a church setting, it becomes something beautiful, that all these people agree that there's no place they'd rather be than worshiping God, and how true that is. We look at the idea of heaven. In Revelation and in Daniel, it shows glimpses of what heaven will be like. And it talks about that there's just people worshiping God. And truly, when you start to understand who God is and what he is doing in your life and the amazing creation that he's done for you, it's hard not to worship him. It's hard to deny or forget about those amazing things. We see that Jesus died for our sins, that he taught about changing our perspective on what it is to be a follower of him. Say that in a worship song. God, there's no place I'd rather be than to worship you. Is powerful.
Set a fire down in my soul that I can't contain, that I can't control. I want more of you, God. I want more of you, God. Set a fire down in my soul that I can't contain, that I can't control. I want more of you, God. I want more of you, God. I want more. I want more. And sing it out. There's no place I would rather be. No place I would rather be. No place I would rather be than here in your love, here in your love.
Truly, this song, though simple, means so much. And that's something that's so beautiful about worship. And I just wanted to encourage you guys this week that worship doesn't have to be something that's already been written. Worship doesn't have to be something that's already penned and you have to play the right chords for. Worship can just be speaking to God, singing to God in a glorious way, worshiping him and understanding that there's no place I'd rather be than created by God, loved by God, and saved by God, and reflecting on that. I worship God daily, and not using my guitar, but by reflecting and thanking God for what he's done in my life. So as we continue to break down what worship is, as we continue to sing songs together, remember that worship is about your heart. It's not about the sound of your voice or playing the right chords or doing the right thing musically. It's about what you're giving to God, surrendering to him, asking him to set a fire in your heart, and praising him for the things that he's done. God, we thank you for loving us. God, we thank you for allowing us to worship you at any moment. Thank you guys for worshiping with me, and that's another worship breakdown in the books. I hope to see you guys next week on another Fabulous Friday. Thank you guys.